If x is greater than 0, what is one possible solution to the equation above? Once again, notice that we are being told that the solution has to be bigger than 0. Let's go for it. So to solve this, we want to first of all set the equation equal to 0. We can start off by distributing the x cubed to both of those terms. So we have x to the 5th power minus 5x to the 3rd power equals negative 4x. So while we are a step closer, we're not quite there yet. We need to move this negative 4x back to the left side so we can set the equation equal to 0. So we're going to add 4x to both sides, and now we're going to have x to the 5th minus 5x to the 3rd plus 4x equals 0. And now that we have the equation set equal to 0, the next step is to factor so we can solve. Now, the most basic form of factoring we should always look for is factoring using the GCF. And you notice these three terms have an x in common, so we can factor that out. That leaves us with x to the 4th minus 5x to the 2nd plus 4 equals 0. So now we have this part of the equation, which although is not to the 2nd power, is a type of a quadratic equation, which means we can still apply the factoring using the x games. So let's go ahead and do that. We have our x drawn out, and then we know that the a value here is 1. B value is negative 5, and the C value is 4. So when we come over here and do a product, which is A times C, and do our sum, which is the B value, we would have 4 and negative 5. So the question is, which two numbers do we multiply together to get a positive 4? And then when we add them together, we get a negative 5. And if you've guessed negative 4 times negative 1, you'd be correct. How does that work? Negative 4 times negative 1 is positive 4. Negative 4 minus 1 is negative 5. Now that we have our factors, we'll keep working. We'll have x to the 2nd minus 4 in one parenthesis, and in the other parenthesis, we would have x to the 2nd minus 1 equals 0. Please notice that because this was to the 4th power, we half it when you write the factored form of it. If it were to the 6th power, it would be to the 3rd. To the 8th power, to the 4th. So you get the point. You always half that. Now, we keep going, and we do this by solving. So we're going to need to set each of our three factors equal to 0 individually. So the first solution will be x equals 0. This one will be x squared minus 4 equals 0, and then we'll solve in a minute, and then x squared minus 1 equals 0. So we'll use algebra to solve for each of these. So for the first one, let's add 4 to both sides. The second one, we'll add 1 to both sides. So we'll have x to the 2nd equals positive 4, and x to the 2nd equals positive 1. Since we're running out of space, let's move this up here. So x to the 2nd equals 4 would need to be square rooted. So x equals plus or minus 2. And x to the 2nd equals 1 also needs to be square rooted so to get x by itself. And then x equals plus or minus 1. And we also had a third one, which was x equals 0. But remember, the question said x must be a value that is bigger than 0. So that means we have to go with x being either a 2 or x being a 1. So yes, the SAT sometimes will have questions that have more than one right answer. You just want to choose whichever one you like better. So just grade in 2 if you like 2 better, or grade in 1 if you like 1 better.